Chapter 1. Take one small action today to defeat endless overthinking. My friend, if there is one thing I've learned in all these years of working with people, it is this: the greatest enemy most of us face is not the world outside, it is the endless noise inside our own mind. You know that voice, the one that tells you to wait until tomorrow, the one that reminds you of every mistake you ever made, the one that convinces you that you are not ready, not smart enough, not disciplined enough, not strong enough. That voice is what keeps people standing still while life moves forward. That voice is the master of overthinking. And the tragedy is, overthinking steals years. But there is good news. The mind may be noisy, but it is not stronger than action. The way to defeat endless overthinking is not to argue with it, it's not to analyze it, it's not to wait until the perfect moment when it goes silent, because it never will. The way to defeat overthinking is to take one small action today. Think about it. You don't need to fix your whole life in one day. You don't need to conquer every fear at once. What you need is to prove to yourself that you are capable of moving forward right now. Not next week, not when you feel motivated, not when circumstances are perfect. Right now. One small action. Why does this work? Because action creates clarity. When you take a step, even the smallest step, the fog in your mind begins to clear. You can see what is possible. You can feel progress in your body. You experience energy instead of heaviness. It is not the size of the action that matters. It is the fact that you moved. You created momentum. You turned thought into reality. You see, most people get caught in an endless loop. They think about what they should do. Then they think about whether they're ready. Then they think about what others might think. Then they think about failing. And before they know it, the day is gone, and nothing is done. Another day, lost to overthinking, and then another. And then another. And years pass with the same dream sitting on the shelf, untouched. But you can break that cycle today. And it doesn't require brilliance, doesn't require perfection. It requires a single decision. A decision to take one small action now. What kind of action? Simple ones. If your health matters, take a 5-minute walk. Not tomorrow, not when you buy new shoes today. If your finances matter, put $5 into savings, not when you get a raise today. If your relationships matter, send one honest message to someone you care about, not when it's their birthday. Today. These are small, but here's the truth: it is the small actions that break the grip of overthinking. Overthinking feeds on delay. It grows stronger with every moment of hesitation. But action, even the smallest, starves it. The first time you take a step, your mind will protest. It will tell you it's not enough. It will tell you it won't make a difference. But when you do it anyway, you gain something powerful. You gain self-respect. You gain proof. Proof that you can move even when the voice of doubt is screaming. Proof that you are stronger than your hesitation. Proof that you can trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, everything changes. Confidence is not built by thinking positive thought. Confidence is built by action. You earn it. You earn it by doing what you said you would do. You earn it by finishing, even when it's small. You earn it by moving forward, step by step. Some people wait for confidence before they act. That is a mistake. Confidence does not come first. Action comes first. Confidence follows. Confidence is the reward for stepping into uncertainty. And it starts with one small action today. Think of how many times you've delayed because you thought the task was too big. You wanted to write a book, but the idea of hundreds of pages froze you. You wanted to get in shape, but the idea of hours in the gym paralyzed you. You wanted to learn a skill, but the thought of years of practice overwhelmed you. This is how overthinking steals your energy. It magnifies the mountain and convinces you that climbing it is impossible. But what if you just wrote one paragraph? What if you just did 10 push-ups? What if you just watched one lesson? That is how people actually change. Not by conquering the whole mountain in one leap, but by taking one step at a time. and every step weakens the power of overthinking. There is also another truth here. The brain loves completion. Every time you finish something, no matter how small, your brain rewards you. You feel lighter. You feel energized. You feel capable. And that feeling becomes addictive. That is why starting small is not weakness. It is strategy. It is the smartest way to beat the endless cycle of hesitation. Now I want you to think about your own life. Where have you been stuck in endless thought? Where do you find yourself going over the same idea again and again without ever acting on it? Be honest. Maybe it's your health, maybe it's your work. Maybe it's a conversation you've been avoiding. Whatever it is, it's costing you energy. It's costing you confidence. It's costing you time. So here is the challenge. Pick one small action. Not tomorrow. Not later. Today. If you've been overthinking exercise, put on your shoes and walk outside. If you've been overthinking a conversation, make the call. If you've been overthinking a project, open the file and type one sentence. Just one. It doesn't matter if it's perfect. It matters that it's done. Once you do, you will notice something almost immediately. Your mind will quiet down. The endless spinning will slow. You will feel lighter, calmer, more in control. That is the power of action. It cuts through the noise. It silences the endless questions. It gives you direction. And the beauty is, you can repeat it tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Each time you take one small action, you strengthen the muscle of discipline. You strengthen the belief that you can trust yourself. You weaken the grip of overthinking. I want you to imagine yourself a year from now. If you continue to overthink, you'll still be in the same place. Maybe worse. More frustrated, more doubtful, more stuck. But if you take one small action every day, think of where you'll be. A year of small actions is 365 steps forward. That is how small wins compound. That is how they create big results. Not because any single action is huge, but because together, they change everything. You don't need to wait. You don't need permission. You don't need to know everything. What you need is courage. Courage to do something small today. The courage to prove to yourself that you can move forward. And once you taste progress, you will want more. You will begin to crave action. You will build momentum. And that momentum will carry you through days when motivation is low. That momentum will silence the doubts faster. That momentum will create results you never thought possible. So the next time you feel the weight of overthinking, remember this. You do not need to figure everything out. You do not need to wait until the noise disappears. You just need to take one small action today. And when you do, you'll find the noise loses its power. You'll find clarity where there was confusion. You'll find confidence where there was doubt. And you'll discover that the life you want is built not in giant leaps, but in small, consistent steps taken every single day. That is the truth. That is the path. And it begins not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. It begins with one small action today. Chapter 2. Build daily proof that you are stronger than fear. Fear is one of the most powerful forces in human life. It stops people before they even begin. It convinces them that failure is permanent, that embarrassment is unbearable, that pain is not worth the growth. Fear whispers that it is safer to stay still than to risk moving forward. But fear is not meant to be obeyed. Fear is meant to be challenged, and the only way to prove you are stronger than fear is through action. Small, daily, consistent actions that remind you of your strength. When you wake up in the morning, fear may not greet you with loud words, but it shows itself in hesitation. You think about the difficult conversation you need to have, and fear suggests you wait until tomorrow. You consider applying for a new job, and fear tells you that you are not qualified. You want to take better care of your health, but fear reminds you of the times you tried and failed. That hesitation builds into patterns, and soon fear runs your life. The tragedy is that many people let it run them for decades, never realizing that the key to freedom is not to erase fear, but to prove again and again that they are stronger. How do you build that proof? By daily evidence. Confidence is not an idea. It is a record. You can tell yourself that you are strong, but if your actions do not show it, your mind will not believe it. On the other hand, if you collect daily experiences of stepping forward despite fear, your brain will begin to trust you. This is how trust in yourself grows. You don't talk yourself into strength. You prove it. Consider how a child learns to walk. They don't convince themselves with affirmations that they can do it. They stumble, they fall, they get up again. Every attempt is proof. The fear of falling does not disappear, but the evidence of progress grows stronger, and eventually walking becomes natural. The same principle applies to every area of life. You may fear speaking in front of others, but if you speak a little each day, you create a track record that says, I can do this. You may fear rejection, but if you take small risks daily, you collect proof that rejection does not destroy you. The mistake people make is waiting for fear to vanish before taking action. That will never happen. Fear shrinks only when you move forward in spite of it, and every time you do, you grow taller inside. You build the inner record that says, yes, I felt afraid, but I still acted. That record is priceless. It becomes the foundation of self-respect. Let's bring this down to something practical. Think about an area in your life where fear has stopped you. Maybe it's health, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's money, maybe it's personal growth. Now identify one action you can take daily that directly challenges that fear. Not once, not occasionally, but daily. If you fear rejection, talk to one new person each day. If you fear failure, commit to working daily on a project even if the outcome is uncertain. If you fear judgment, share one small piece of your work daily, even if it feels uncomfortable. The size of the action is not as important as its consistency. Consistency creates proof. Proof builds belief. Belief builds strength. And strength transforms fear into fuel. There's also a deeper reason why daily proof matters. The human brain remembers experiences more than theories. If you only think about courage, your brain has nothing to hold on to. But when you do something courageous, no matter how small, your brain records it. That memory becomes evidence, and the more evidence you gather, the easier it becomes to face bigger fears. You create a pattern of strength. Imagine two people. One spends years thinking about what they could do if they weren't afraid. They read books. They watch videos, they make plans, but they never act. The other spends those same years doing one small thing each day to face their fear. At the end of a decade, the first person has theories, the second person has a mountain of proof, and that proof becomes unshakable confidence. This is why you must not underestimate the power of small daily victories. Fear thrives in silence and in action. It grows bigger the longer you avoid it. But when you face it daily, even in small ways, it loses power, and you gain power. Let's talk about the emotional side. Fear often comes with physical sensations. Your chest tightens, your hands sweat, your heart races. Most people interpret these signs as reasons to stop, but what if you chose to see them as signals of opportunity? Every time you feel those sensations and act anyway, you retrain your nervous system. You teach your body that fear does not control you. Over time, your body begins to relax in situations that once terrified you. That is how resilience is built. You must also understand that fear is not an enemy to be eliminated. It is a teacher. It points to areas where growth is possible. If you never felt fear, you would never stretch. The presence of fear means you are standing near something that matters. And when you face it daily, you turn fear into a guide instead of a master. Some people wait for big dramatic moments to prove their strength. They think they need to run into burning buildings or make life-changing decisions. But real strength is built in the small daily act. Waking up early when you don't feel like it. Speaking up in a meeting when your voice shakes. Going to the gym when you'd rather stay in bed. Saying no when you've always said yes out of fear. These are the quiet moments where you prove to yourself that you are stronger than fear. Over time, these moments add up. You build a library of courage. You no longer need to rely on motivation. Because you have proof. You no longer need to hope you'll be strong in the future, because you already know you are. You've shown it, day after day. There is another important piece here. Self-image. Fear often thrives because people see themselves as weak, incapable, or unworthy. But self-image is not permanent. It is built by repetition. If every day you act in a way that proves your strength, your self-image shifts. You begin to see yourself as someone who is capable, resilient, and strong. That shift changes everything. Because once you see yourself as strong, you act stronger. And that action creates even more proof. It becomes a cycle of growth. Think about how empowering it feels to look back on a week and know you did something daily that scared you. Think about the pride of knowing that you didn't let fear decide for you. That pride is not arrogance, it is self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of a meaningful life. So here is the path. Identify your fear, choose one daily action to face it, and commit to proving your strength every single day. Some days will be easy, others will be hard. But every day you follow through, you add another brick to the foundation of confidence. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need to wait years to feel the results. You will notice change almost immediately. The first time you act in the face of fear, you feel a surge of energy. You feel alive. You feel capable. That feeling is addictive. And when you repeat it the next day, it grows stronger. Before long, you will find yourself doing things that once seemed impossible. You will have conversations that once silenced you. You will take opportunities that once terrified you. You will pursue dreams that once felt too risky. Not because fear is gone, but because you have built daily proof that you are stronger. This is how people transform. Not in one dramatic leap, but in daily steps that build a new identity. Each step is proof. Each step is strength. Each step is freedom. And you have the power to begin today. Fear will not disappear. Doubt will not vanish. But you don't need them to. You only need to act anyway. And if you act today, and tomorrow and the next day, soon you will look back and realize something extraordinary. Fear did not stop you. Fear never had the final word. You did. Every day, you face fear. You reclaim more of your life. Every day you prove your strength. You build a future that is larger than your hesitation. And every day you act, you move closer to the person you were meant to be. So build the proof. Build it daily. Build it until it is undeniable, because the truth is simple. You are stronger than fear. And when you prove it daily, there is nothing you cannot do.
Chapter 3. Replace negative self-talk by practicing one daily win. Negative self-talk is one of the quietest but most destructive habits a person can carry through life. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It creeps into your mind when you look in the mirror, when you sit down to work, when you face a challenge, when you make a mistake. It says things like, "You'll never get this right." It says, "Why even try?" It says, "You always fail." And if you let those words repeat without challenge, they begin to shape the way you see yourself. They become the story you live by. But the story can be rewritten. The mind learns through practice, not through wishes. And the most powerful way to silence negative self-talk is to practice daily wins. Not in theory. Not by telling yourself you're good enough. By showing yourself with real evidence that you can achieve something each day. A daily win is not about impressing the world. It is about convincing your own mind that you are capable. Every person carries an inner scoreboard. For some, it is filled with reminders of mistakes, failures, and missed opportunities. That scoreboard becomes the proof that fuels negative self-talk. When you've collected enough losses, your brain automatically tells you that you're not built to win. But you can change the score by deliberately stacking daily wins. You start building new evidence, new memories, new reasons to believe in yourself. Each win is like a small deposit into your self-worth account. And when you practice them consistently, the balance grows until negative self-talk has nothing left to stand on. A daily win doesn't need to be extraordinary. It only needs to be intentional. It might be finishing the task you promised yourself you'd do.
It might be sticking to the workout when you didn't feel like it. It might be resisting an old habit that used to control you. It might be learning something new and applying it that same day. What matters is that you decide what counts as a win for you today, and you do it. One win each day. The brain responds powerfully to completion. When you set out to do something and actually finish, you experience a surge of energy. You feel capable. You feel in control. That experience is recorded in your memory. And tomorrow, when the negative voice tries to tell you you're worthless, you have proof to answer back. You don't need to fight the voice with arguments. You silence it with evidence. I finished yesterday. I won yesterday. I kept my word yesterday. This process works because the brain believes action more than words. You can repeat affirmations in the mirror, but if your actions contradict them, your mind will not accept them. On the other hand, if you consistently create small wins, your brain builds a new story, and that story replaces the old one naturally. You stop needing to argue with yourself because the wins speak louder. The shift begins in subtle ways. At first you may still hear the negative voice. It may still tell you that you are not enough. But after you string together a few daily wins, you begin to notice a difference. The views feels weaker. The words don't cut as deep. You start to say, yes, but I did what I said I'd do today. And that realization is liberating. You no longer feel like a victim of your own mind. You begin to feel like a creator of your own confidence. Negative self-talk thrives on unkept promises. Every time you tell yourself you'll do something and don't, you reinforce the belief that you can't trust yourself. That belief becomes the fuel for the inner critic. But when you do the opposite, when you follow through on a small commitment each day, you slowly rebuild trust. And once trust grows, the negative voice fades. Because you have proof that you follow through, proof that you can be counted on. Think about how different your day feels when you end it with the satisfaction of a win. Instead of lying in bed replaying regrets, you lie in bed remembering that you took a step forward. That memory changes your mood, your energy, and your outlook for the next day. Now multiply that by weeks and months. You are no longer the same person. You are no longer weighed down by failure. You are carried forward by proof of progress. Fear and doubt will always exist, but their influence depends on how much proof you've built against them. If you live without daily wins, they sound convincing. If you practice wins daily, they lose their grip. The difference between a person who believes in themselves and one who doesn't is not talent or luck. It is the track record they've built. Now it's important to be clear. A daily win is not about chasing perfection. It is not about never making mistakes. It is about stacking undeniable proof that you are capable of moving forward. Some days the win may be small. Some days it may feel almost trivial. But remember, the purpose is not to impress anyone else. The purpose is to train your own mind. The purpose is to feed yourself evidence that drowns out the critic. Here's an example. Imagine someone who constantly tells themselves they are lazy. That phrase becomes their identity. But if that person decides, every day for 30 days, to complete one task, no matter how small, they start changing the evidence. Each completed task is a brick in a new identity. After a month, when the inner voice tries to say, "You're lazy," there is a stack of 30 wins to challenge it. That stack speaks louder than any thought. The same applies to someone who says, "I can never finish what I start." Negative self-talk thrives on repetition of failures. But what if that person completes something small each day? Over time, the self-image shifts. They begin to see themselves as someone who finishes. They create a new truth. And this new truth doesn't just stay in the mind. It spills into actions, relationships, and opportunity. When you believe you can win daily, you carry yourself differently. You walk with more confidence. You speak with more certainty. You take risks you once avoided. You treat yourself with more respect. And others begin to see you differently. Because you see yourself differently. The practice of daily wins also builds momentum. At first you may need to push yourself to create one win. But soon, the feeling becomes addictive. The satisfaction of progress makes you want more. One win turns into two. Two turn into three. And suddenly, you are stacking victories faster than negative self-talk can keep up. This is not theory. It is a discipline. You must be deliberate. Every morning decide what your win for the day will be. Don't leave it to chance. Choose it. Commit to it. Complete it. Then reflect on it. Write it down. Celebrate it. Let your brain absorb it as evidence. And then repeat tomorrow. In time, you will notice that your inner voice changes. Instead of defaulting to negativity, it begins to echo your wins. It starts to say things like, "You can handle this, you've proven it before." It starts to remind you of your track record instead of your failures. That is when you know the rewiring has begun. That is when you realize that negative self-talk no longer runs your life. The change won't happen overnight. Years of negative patterns will not vanish in a week, but every win is progress. Every win is a strike against the old story. Every win is proof that you are building a new narrative, and the longer you stay consistent, the stronger that narrative becomes. There's also a psychological principle at play here. The human brain does not like conflicting evidence. If you keep proving daily that you can win, the negative self-talk will begin to feel out of place. It will no longer match the reality of your actions. And when the brain faces a conflict, it adapts. It updates the story to match the evidence. This is how daily wins reprogram the mind. The most important thing is not to wait for motivation. Motivation comes and goes. If you rely on it, you'll give negative self-talk room to grow. What you need is a system of daily wins that operate whether you feel motivated or not. Once the system is in place, the wins happen, and the wins build confidence, and the confidence silences the critic. And when you look back months or years from now, you will see something remarkable. The voice that once told you, "You can't," will be almost silent. In its place will be a quieter, stronger voice that says, "You can." And it won't just be words, it will be backed by hundreds of wins. You will know it's true because you've lived it. So the task is clear. Replace negative self-talk by practicing one daily win. Not tomorrow. Today. Decide what the win will be. Do it. Record it. Repeat it. Build the track record that changes everything. Because once you prove to yourself daily that you can win, no negative voice can take that away from you. Chapter 4. Train your brain to enjoy progress instead of perfection. Perfection is a trap that has stolen more dreams than failure ever has. It sounds noble when you hear it, doing things perfectly, waiting for the perfect time, wanting the perfect result. But beneath that noble disguise, perfection is a prison. It keeps you stuck at the starting line because nothing feels good enough to begin. It keeps you locked in endless editing because nothing feels good enough to finish. And while you chase flawless results that never come, life quietly slips by. That's why the smartest thing you can do for your growth, your confidence, and your future is to train your brain to enjoy progress instead of perfection. Progress is movement, it is energy, it is life itself. Progress is finishing something that yesterday you only thought about. Progress is doing one more repetition, writing one more page, having one more meaningful conversation. Progress is not about arriving at a flawless finish line, it's about proving to yourself that you're moving forward. And the truth is, forward movement is where all fulfillment lives. Most people misunderstand success. They think happiness comes from getting everything right. They think respect comes from achieving an ideal image. They think love and recognition will come only when they've ironed out every weakness. But that is not how human psychology works. People respect effort, consistency, and growth. People admire courage, resilience, and discipline, and you cannot experience any of those without progress. Perfection demands you hide. Progress invites you to try. When you decide to value progress over perfection, your brain experiences a powerful shift. Suddenly, the small wins count. Suddenly, showing up matters more than flawless execution. Suddenly, mistakes are not the end of the world, but evidence that you are in motion. And the more you train yourself to celebrate those steps, the more motivated you become to keep taking them. Motivation is not born out of flawless moments, it is born out of visible growth. Think about how the brain works. It loves rewards. It loves signals that say you're moving forward. Every time you acknowledge progress, even when it's small, your brain releases energy and reinforces the behavior. That's how habits are built. But if you wait until something is perfect before you celebrate, your brain starves. You've trained it to believe that nothing counts unless it's flawless. And when nothing counts, you lose energy, you lose momentum, and you eventually quit. So the real training is not about eliminating mistakes. The real training is teaching your brain to recognize movement as success. Did you take a step today? That's success. Did you complete something you avoided yesterday? That's success. Did you improve slightly compared to last week? That's success. This way of thinking creates momentum, and momentum compounds into transformation. Now, some people resist this. They say, but if I don't demand perfection, I'll become lazy. I'll lower my standards. That's not true. Valuing progress doesn't mean you give up on excellence. It means you stop holding excellence hostage to impossible standards. Excellence comes from thousands of small improvements stacked on each other, not one flawless moment. The pianist who plays beautifully didn't arrive there by being perfect from the start. They arrived there by practicing progress every day. The same goes for every master in every field. Progress built their greatness, not perfection. You may wonder why perfection has such a grip on people. The answer is fear. Perfection is often just fear wearing a disguise, fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of embarrassment. So instead of moving, people tell themselves they are not ready yet, or still working on it. But the truth is, they are afraid. The way to escape that trap is to remind yourself daily that growth is more valuable than flawlessness. The danger of perfection is not only that it paralyzes, it also blinds you to your progress. Imagine someone who loses 30 pounds, but criticizes themselves for not having six-pack abs. They miss the victory because they're stuck chasing an unrealistic finish line. Or someone who earns a promotion but dismisses it because they're not the CEO yet. They rob themselves of joy by comparing themselves to an ideal. That's the cruelty of perfection. It makes victories invisible. But if you train your brain to enjoy progress, every step becomes fuel. You begin to notice the small changes, the extra energy in your body, the extra discipline in your day, the extra confidence in your voice. You stop waiting for a final destination to celebrate. You live with gratitude for the journey. That shift creates resilience, because even on hard days, you can see that you're still moving forward. And that resilience keeps you going long after perfectionists have quit. Training your brain for progress takes deliberate practice. It doesn't happen naturally. By default, the brain tends to criticize more than celebrate. That's why you must create rituals. At the end of each day, reflect on what you accomplished, no matter how small. Write it down. Say it out loud. Allow yourself to feel satisfaction. When you do this repeatedly, your brain begins to expect progress as a reward. You rewire your mind to search for wins instead of flaws. Another practice is to set goals in terms of progress, not outcome. Instead of saying, I will write the perfect chapter, say, I will write for 30 minutes today. Instead of saying, I will have the perfect workout, say, I will complete my workout today. When you frame your goals around progress, you create targets you can actually hit, and every time you hit them, you reinforce your confidence. You will also need to change the way you talk to yourself. Instead of saying, that wasn't good enough, ask, did I move forward today? Instead of saying, I made mistakes, say, I'm learning. This shift may feel small, but over time it completely reshapes the way you see yourself. Because identity is built, not by chasing perfection, but by recognizing consistent growth. Let's talk about how this affects relationships. When you demand perfection from yourself, you often demand it from others. That leads to constant disappointment, frustration, and criticism. But when you value progress, you become more patient and compassionate. You see effort. You acknowledge growth. You encourage instead of condemn. And that makes your relationship stronger and healthier. In your career, the same principle applies. People who chase perfection often delay projects, avoid risks, and stay stuck in planning. They become known for hesitation, but those who value progress are the ones who actually move things forward. They complete projects, learn from mistakes, adjust, and grow. These are the people who get noticed. These are the people who lead. And let's not forget the personal sense of fulfillment. A life spent chasing perfection is full of frustration and regret. A life spent enjoying progress is full of gratitude and pride. Because no matter where you are, you can always say, "I'm further than I was yesterday." That simple truth builds happiness. So how do you begin? Start by noticing progress in real time. When you take an action, don't dismiss it because it wasn't flawless. Pause and recognize it. When you improve even slightly, don't ignore it because it's not dramatic. Mark it down. Build the habit of noticing movement. That awareness is the first step to training your brain. Then create systems that measure progress. Use a notebook, an app, or even a calendar to track daily actions. Each checkmark is proof. Over time, those checkmarks build a visual record of growth. That record becomes motivation. On hard days, when you feel like you're not moving fast enough, you can look back and see, in black and white, the evidence of your progress. Finally, surround yourself with people who also value progress. Perfectionists will drag you back into criticism, but people who value progress will encourage you, remind you of your wins, and keep you moving forward. Environment matters because it reinforces the mindset you are trying to build. In the end, perfection is an illusion. Nobody reaches it. The people who appear perfect are simply those who have practiced progress long enough for it to look effortless. If you want to create big results in your life, stop waiting for flawless moments and start stacking small improvements. Train your brain to notice them, to celebrate them, to crave them. Because when you learn to enjoy progress, life becomes lighter, work becomes easier, growth becomes natural. You stop being paralyzed by fear of mistakes and start being energized by the next step forward. And if you keep stepping forward, day after day, the results will take care of themselves. So make the decision. Today, measure progress, celebrate progress, train your brain to enjoy it, because the truth is, progress is the path. And if you walk that path daily, perfection will no longer control you. You'll be free to grow, free to try, free to live. And in that freedom, you will discover just how much you are capable of becoming.
Chapter 5. Push through resistance by finishing one uncomfortable task today. Every person alive feels the weight of resistance. It is that quiet but heavy barrier between what you know you should do and what you actually do. It's the delay before making the phone call you've been avoiding. It's the urge to check your phone instead of finishing the project. It's the sudden thought of cleaning the kitchen when you sit down to write. Resistance does not scream at you, it whispers. And the longer you listen, the heavier it becomes. The way to break its hold is not to wait until you feel like doing the hard thing. The way to beat resistance is to choose one uncomfortable task and finish it today. You've noticed this before. There's a task on your mind that lingers. It's not huge, but it makes you uneasy. It carries some fear, or some effort, or some discomfort, and because it's uncomfortable, you keep pushing it off. But as you delay, the weight doesn't disappear, it grows. That task takes up space in your thoughts all day. It drains energy you could use for other things. It becomes a shadow that follows you everywhere. That is the hidden cost of resistance. It steals your peace. But when you face the task head-on, something remarkable happens. The moment you begin, the heaviness begins to shrink. The dread dissolves. And when you finish, you feel relief, clarity, and strength. That feeling is not just emotional, it is evidence. Evidence that you can act even when it's hard. Evidence that you can trust yourself to follow through. And that evidence fuels confidence more than anything else. The truth is, growth always hides behind resistance. If something feels uncomfortable, it's often a sign that it matters. Calling a client, asking for feedback, fixing your finances, starting the workout, having an honest conversation, these tasks are not fun, but they are the ones that move life forward. Easy tasks keep you busy. Uncomfortable tasks create breakthroughs. That's why the most valuable discipline you can build is the ability to face one uncomfortable task every day and finish it. Notice the word finish. Starting is important, but finishing is what rewires the brain. When you complete a task you've been resisting, you send a powerful message to yourself. I am stronger than hesitation. Each completion becomes a victory that chips away at the habit of avoidance. Over time you develop a new identity, not as someone who avoids discomfort, but as someone who faces it directly. Here's the truth many people don't want to face. Resistance will always be there. It doesn't go away with age, with success, or with practice. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is not the absence of resistance, but the decision to move through it. Successful people don't feel less discomfort, they just act anyway. And they build the habit of doing uncomfortable things until it becomes part of who they are. Think about how different your life could be if every day you finished one uncomfortable task. In a week, that's 7 breakthroughs. In a month, that's 30. In a year, that's 365 moments where you prove to yourself that you are stronger than resistance. Imagine the kind of momentum that would create. Imagine the kind of confidence you'd build. Imagine the kind of results you'd see in your career, your health, your relationships. That is not fantasy. It is the real reward of facing resistance daily. You don't need to tackle everything at once. That's another trick of resistance. It tells you the task is too big, too overwhelming. That's why you must shrink the focus. Ask yourself, what is one uncomfortable task I can complete today? Not tomorrow, not someday. Today. Once you identify it, commit to finishing it no matter what. It might be writing the first draft. It might be calling the person you've avoided. It might be cleaning out the pile of bills. It might be apologizing for a mistake. Whatever it is, do it. The relief and pride you feel afterward will be fuel. That fuel will carry you into the next day, and the next, until finishing uncomfortable tasks becomes less about effort and more about identity. You become the kind of person who gets things done, not the kind of person who hides. That identity is priceless, because once you believe it, your actions follow naturally. Resistance feeds on delay. Every time you push off the uncomfortable task, resistance grows stronger. But every time you act, resistance weakens. The sooner you face it, the easier it becomes. The task you avoid in the morning becomes twice as heavy in the afternoon. But the task you finish in the morning frees your mind for the rest of the day. That's why starting early is such a powerful weapon. It sets the tone. It builds momentum. It sends a message to your brain that you are in control, not resistant. There is also a deeper benefit to finishing uncomfortable tasks. It expands your tolerance for challenge. Every time you do something difficult, your threshold for difficulty grows. What once felt impossible begins to feel manageable. What once felt terrifying begins to feel normal. Over time you are not only accomplishing more, you are becoming more. Your capacity increases. Your strength multiplies. You begin to seek out challenges instead of running from them, because you've learned that each one makes you stronger. Avoidance does the opposite. Every time you avoid a difficult task, your tolerance shrinks. Challenges begin to look bigger than they are. You start doubting your ability to handle them. Resistance grows until it controls every decision. That is how people shrink their own lives without realizing it. They let resistance decide their future. But you don't have to live that way. You can reclaim control by making one decision every day. To finish the task you don't want to do. Once it's finished, you experience freedom. Your mind is lighter. Your energy returns. Your confidence grows. That freedom is worth far more than the temporary comfort of avoiding discomfort. Think of the times you've finally done something you resisted for weeks. Maybe it was cleaning the garage. Maybe it was scheduling the doctor's appointment. Maybe it was paying the overdue bill. The moment you finished, you probably said to yourself, "Why didn't I do this sooner?" That thought is proof of how resistance lies to us. It makes things look harder than they are. But the moment you act, the illusion disappears. That is why finishing is so powerful. It breaks the illusion of resistance. The good news is that you don't need to fight resistance all day long. You only need to win small battles, one uncomfortable task, each day.
That's it. You don't need to conquer every fear. You don't need to finish every hard thing at once. You just need to pick one and prove to yourself that you can do it. Over time, these small daily victories accumulate into a lifetime of strength and accomplishment. There's also an emotional reward. Each time you complete an uncomfortable task, you feel proud. That pride is not shallow. It is the foundation of self-respect. You can look yourself in the mirror and know you followed through. You can carry that pride into every part of your life. It becomes a quiet but powerful strength that others can see in you. People respect those who finish. People trust those who act, and you will begin to respect and trust yourself more deeply. Some days the task may be small, other days it may be big. Some days you will breeze through it, other days you will drag yourself through it. But the key is consistency. The brain learns through repetition. If you show it every day that resistance does not control you, soon that becomes the default. You no longer ask, will I do the hard thing? You assume you will. That assumption changes everything. The real question to ask yourself each day is simple. What is the one task I least want to do? That task is usually the one that holds the most growth. That is where resistance hides, and that is where strength is built. When you identify it and finish it, you win the day. And if you win enough days, you win the life you want. So do not let resistance win today. Do not let it whisper you into delay. Pick one uncomfortable task and finish it. Feel the relief. Feel the pride. Feel the strength. Then do it again tomorrow. That is how resistance is defeated. That is how courage is built. That is how progress becomes unstoppable. Every day offers the same choice. Comfort or growth. Resistance will push you toward comfort, but the uncomfortable task will push you toward growth. And once you commit to choosing growth daily, your future becomes limitless, because a person who can finish what they resist is a person who can handle anything, and that person can be you. It only takes one decision today. Finish the task. Prove to yourself that resistance has no power over you, and when you do, you will not only complete something important, you will rewrite the story of who you are. You will become the kind of person who doesn't wait, who doesn't hide, who doesn't give in. You will become the kind of person who acts, and that kind of person can change their life in ways they never imagined.
Chapter 6. Strengthen discipline daily to rebuild trust with yourself. Discipline is the glue that holds personal growth together. Without it, even the best intentions collapse. Without it, goals stay on paper and never become reality. Discipline is not about forcing yourself into misery. It is about creating a consistent track record that proves you can rely on yourself. Every time you do what you said you would do, you send a signal to your mind and heart that you can be trusted. Every time you break that commitment, you weaken that trust. And over time, this cycle determines whether you live with confidence or doubt. Many people underestimate how much broken self-promises damage their spirit. Think about the countless times someone swears they will start exercising tomorrow, or they will finally quit a bad habit, or they will get serious about their finances. Then tomorrow comes, and nothing changes. Each time this happens, a small crack forms in their self-belief. At first it feels harmless. But after enough cracks, the foundation weakens. That is why so many people doubt themselves even before they begin. They've trained themselves not to believe their own words. But the truth is that trust can be rebuilt. Just as it was broken one choice at a time, it can be restored one disciplined action at a time. This requires no miracle, no overnight transformation. It requires daily consistency. Every day, you make choices that either strengthen or weaken your bond with yourself. And if you choose discipline often enough, your entire identity changes. Discipline does not need to be grand to be powerful. It can be as simple as completing the small commitments you make. Wake up when you said you would. Follow through on the task you wrote down. Resist the temptation you promised yourself you'd avoid. These acts may look ordinary, but they are extraordinary in what they build inside of you, because each one is evidence, and evidence is stronger than hope. Evidence is stronger than motivation. Evidence is what convinces your mind that you can be trusted.
When you live with discipline, you live with a sense of alignment. Your words and your actions match. You stop feeling divided. You stop feeling like two different people, the one who dreams and the one who delays. You become whole again, and with that wholeness comes peace. You don't lie in bed at night, frustrated with yourself. You don't walk around feeling guilty. Instead, you carry quiet pride, and that pride is the foundation of self-respect. Self-respect is not given, it is earned. You can read affirmations all day, but if you know you don't keep your promises, the affirmations will feel hollow. Respect grows from action. It grows from discipline. It grows from proving daily that you are a person who does what they say. And once you have that respect for yourself, you stop craving validation from others. You stop waiting for the world to approve you, because you've already approved yourself. Discipline also brings freedom. People often think discipline is restrictive, like a set of chains. But the opposite is true. Without discipline, you become a prisoner to impulses, distractions, and excuses. You spend life reacting instead of creating. With discipline, you take control, you decide what matters, and follow through. That control frees you. It frees you from regret, from chaos, from the constant cycle of starting and quitting. The daily practice of discipline builds momentum. At first it feels difficult because you are fighting old patterns. Your mind will bargain with you. It will say, just skip today. It will say, you can do it tomorrow. But the more you resist those voices, the weaker they become. Soon, the very things that once felt impossible begin to feel normal. What was once a heavy burden becomes a natural rhythm. That transformation only happens through repetition. Rebuilding trust with yourself also requires honesty. You must set commitments you can realistically keep. If you set goals that are impossible, you will break them, and the cycle of mistrust will continue. But if you choose daily actions that stretch you without overwhelming you, you will succeed. Success builds confidence. Confidence builds more discipline. And that upward spiral changes everything. Consider how it feels when you finally follow through on something you've delayed for weeks. Maybe it's finishing a report, cleaning out the clutter, or making the call you've avoided. The moment you complete it, you feel lighter. That lightness is the release of guilt. That lightness is trust being restored. Imagine feeling that lightness every day because you make discipline a lifestyle. That is what's possible. There is also a practical truth. Life will test your discipline constantly. There will always be reasons to delay. There will always be easier paths. There will always be temptations. But those challenges are not there to punish you. They are opportunities to strengthen the bond with yourself. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. And the more votes you cast, the stronger that identity becomes. Think of someone who has lived without discipline for years. They often carry regret, frustration and doubt. Now think of someone who has lived with discipline for years. They may not be perfect, but they walk with certainty. They speak with conviction. They don't need to convince others, because their actions already prove their character. That difference is not luck. That difference is discipline. To strengthen discipline daily, you must focus on consistency over intensity. It is better to commit to small actions every day than to push hard once in a while and then collapse. A single day of discipline will not rebuild trust, but weeks and months of daily proof will. This is how your identity shifts permanently. Another important part of discipline is reflection. At the end of the day, ask yourself, did I do what I said I would do? If the answer is yes, acknowledge it. Feel it. That recognition reinforces the habit. If the answer is no, don't drown in guilt. Learn from it. Identify why you broke your word and commit to doing better tomorrow. Discipline grows through awareness as much as it grows through action. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Soon discipline is no longer about forcing yourself. It becomes who you are, and when it becomes who you are, trust in yourself is automatic. You don't doubt whether you will follow through. You know you will. That certainty is life-changing. Once you rebuild trust, you unlock courage. You begin to take risks because you know you will follow through. You pursue bigger dreams because you know you can handle the discipline required. You stop sabotaging yourself because you trust your consistency. That trust creates confidence, and confidence creates opportunity. So discipline is not just about small habits, it is about identity. It is about becoming the kind of person who can be counted on, not just by others, but by yourself. And once you can count on yourself, there is nothing you cannot achieve. The path is simple, even if it's not easy. Decide what matters each day, commit to it, follow through, reflect, repeat. Every time you do, the bond of trust grows stronger. Every time you don't, it weakens. Choose enough times in the right direction, and the balance shifts permanently. This is the real meaning of discipline. It's not about punishment, sacrifice, or rigidity. It's about freedom, confidence, and respect. It's about living a life where your actions match your words. It's about waking up every day, knowing you can count on yourself. And that is one of the greatest gifts a person can ever give themselves. So begin now. Strengthen discipline daily. Prove to yourself that you can be trusted again. Build that trust one decision at a time. Do it today. Do it tomorrow. Do it every day until it becomes natural. And when it does, you'll discover a truth that changes everything. You are far more powerful than you once believed. And the life you want is waiting on the other side of discipline.
Chapter 7. Create momentum daily by rewarding even the smallest effort. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in personal growth. When you have it, everything feels lighter. Tasks that once felt heavy become manageable. Decisions that used to take hours feel simple. Progress starts to build on itself, but momentum is fragile. It doesn't appear out of nowhere, and it doesn't stay if you don't maintain it. The way to create momentum every day is not by waiting for something big to happen, but by rewarding even the smallest effort you make. That shift, valuing effort, not just results, changes everything. Too many people believe momentum begins with massive action. They think they need to completely reinvent their life overnight. They wait for the day they suddenly feel motivated enough to do it all at once. But motivation is unreliable, and chasing dramatic breakthroughs only leads to frustration. Real momentum is built by small steps taken daily, and the fuel that keeps those steps going is reward. When you acknowledge effort, even if it looks small, you signal to your brain that you are moving forward, and the brain responds by giving you energy to keep going. The problem is, most people only reward themselves when they reach big milestones. They think progress only counts if it's dramatic. They dismiss the small actions as meaningless. But here's the truth. Without those small actions, the big milestones never arrive. Every book is written one page at a time. Every transformation is built one day at a time. Every major achievement is stacked on small, consistent efforts. When you fail to recognize those efforts, you rob yourself of the fuel you need to keep going. Reward does not always mean giving yourself material treats. Sometimes the most powerful reward is simply pausing to feel proud. It's writing down what you accomplished today, no matter how small, and letting yourself recognize that it mattered. It's telling yourself that step counted. This creates a loop of reinforcement. You do the action, you feel rewarded, and your brain wants to do it again tomorrow. Without reward, the loop breaks. You do the action, you dismiss it, and your brain feels no reason to repeat it. Think about the times you started something new but gave up quickly. Chances are you only looked at how far you still had to go. You ignored the progress you made. That focus on the gap drained your energy. But when you focus on the gain, the fact that you showed up, the fact that you moved forward, you feel encouraged. That encouragement is momentum, and when momentum builds, the journey becomes sustainable. Momentum thrives on recognition. You don't need applause from the world, you need acknowledgement from yourself. Each day you move forward, no matter how little, you must pause to register that movement. Write it in a journal, check it off a list, speak it out loud, do something to mark the effort as meaningful. This trains your brain to crave effort. Over time, effort becomes satisfying in itself. And when effort is satisfying, results become inevitable. Many people lose steam because they expect themselves to operate like machines. They think discipline alone will carry them forever. But humans are emotional. We need feedback. We need to feel good about what we are doing. Reward provides that emotional reinforcement. It keeps the journey from feeling like a grind. It makes the process enjoyable,
and enjoyment is what keeps people consistent. Consistency is the real secret to change. One great day won't transform your life, but many good days in a row will. The key is to create a system where good days keep stacking. Rewarding effort makes that system possible. It turns effort into something you want to repeat instead of something you dread. Without this, consistency fades and momentum dies. Imagine someone trying to get healthier. If they only reward themselves when they reach their target weight, they might stay discouraged for months. But if they reward themselves for each workout, for choosing a healthier meal, for drinking more water today, they feel progress daily. That feeling keeps them showing up, and showing up creates results. This principle applies in learning a skill. You should reward yourself for each practice session, not just when you master it. In building a business, reward yourself for each step forward, not just when the profits come. In personal growth, reward yourself for each uncomfortable step you take, not just when you become the person you want to be. When you recognize effort, you make progress emotionally sustainable. Another reason rewarding small effort matters is because the human mind naturally remembers failures more than successes. If you don't consciously record your wins, your brain will drown them out with negative memories. That's why it's crucial to capture your effort. Write them, celebrate them, speak them, make them visible. This balances your perspective. It reminds you that you are not stuck, you are moving. Momentum also requires pacing. You cannot expect yourself to leap every day. Some days all you can manage is a step. If you punish yourself for that, you'll burn out. But if you reward yourself for showing up at all, you'll keep the streak alive. That streak builds identity. Soon you stop saying I'm trying, and you start saying this is who I am. That identity shift is what makes growth permanent. One of the greatest benefits of rewarding small efforts is how it changes your relationship with the journey. Instead of waiting for some distant finish line to feel good, you feel good every day. You stop living for the future and start finding energy in the present. That shift keeps you engaged. It keeps you from quitting when results are slow, and it makes the entire process more meaningful. Reward can also be external. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your effort. Share your progress with someone who supports you. Let them recognize your consistent. Community amplifies reward. When others see your effort and encourage you, your momentum multiplies. That's why accountability groups, workout partners, and supportive friends are so powerful. They reinforce the recognition you give yourself. But you must also be careful. Rewarding effort does not mean excusing avoidance. It doesn't mean patting yourself on the back for procrastinating. It means celebrating the effort that moves you forward, even if it's small. The distinction is important. Reward what builds momentum, not what avoids it. Over time, this practice will rewire your brain. You'll stop associating progress with drudgery. You'll start associating it with pride, satisfaction, and energy. That's how you build momentum that lasts. Because momentum is not about massive bursts of action. It's about sustained forward movement that compounds over time. The secret is to never let a day pass without some kind of effort and some kind of reward. Even if the effort is small, even if the progress feels minor, mark it, recognize it, train yourself to see it as valuable. Because it is valuable, it is one more brick in the foundation of your future. And the more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, effort itself becomes its own reward. You no longer need external validation. You feel satisfaction simply from knowing you are consistent. That satisfaction keeps the momentum alive, long after motivation fades. When you build this mindset, setbacks lose their power. A bad day doesn't destroy you, because you've trained yourself to value effort. You focus on the fact that you showed up at all. That focus keeps you from spiraling into guilt or giving up altogether. You simply keep going, because progress, not perfection, is your standard. So the challenge is clear. Every single day, do something that moves you forward, and then reward it. Write it down, speak it out. Let yourself feel proud. Build momentum one step at a time, one reward at a time, because when you string together days of effort and recognition, momentum carries you places you never thought possible. The difference between those who achieve and those who quit is not talent, It's not luck. It's momentum. And momentum belongs to those who reward themselves enough to keep moving forward. So make the decision today. Your effort counts. Your progress matters, and you will celebrate it. That decision will give you the energy to keep showing up. And if you keep showing up, the results will take care of themselves. Momentum is not built in a day. It is built daily. And the way to build it is simple. Reward even the smallest effort, and then let that reward fuel tomorrow's step. Do this, and you'll never stay stuck. You'll always be moving, always growing, always compounding wins into a life of meaning and strength. Chapter 8. Silence doubt by showing up consistently every single day. Doubt is the voice that creeps in when you want to move forward. It doesn't wait until you've failed. It starts talking long before you even begin. It tells you that you're not ready. It tells you that you don't have what it takes. It reminds you of the times you quit before. It asks you who you think you are to try again. And if you give that voice enough attention, it grows louder and louder until it paralyzes you. The way to silence that voice is not by arguing with it, not by waiting for it to disappear, and not by wishing for confidence to suddenly appear. The way to silence doubt is by showing up consistently every single day. Consistency is stronger than doubt. Doubt is loud in moments of hesitation, but it loses its power in moments of action. Every time you show up, you prove doubt wrong. You give yourself a piece of evidence that says, I'm still here. I haven't given up. That evidence compounds. Day after day, you stack proof. At first the doubt still whispers, but as the proof piles up, the whispers lose strength. You don't beat doubt with arguments, you beat it with a record of showing up. Think about the times you doubted yourself before, but still showed up. Maybe it was walking into a job interview even though you were nervous. Maybe it was standing in front of people to speak, even when your voice shook. Maybe it was going to the gym even when you felt weak. The moment you acted, the doubt shrank. That's the pattern. Doubt thrives when you stay still. It dies when you move. The reason daily consistency matters so much is because confidence is built through repetition. You cannot tell yourself once that you are capable and expect to believe it. You must prove it daily. Each time you show up, even when you don't feel like it, you strengthen your self-image. You become someone who doesn't wait for perfect conditions. You become someone who acts anyway. That identity is the antidote to doubt. The challenge is that doubt doesn't leave quickly. In the beginning, it will keep testing you. It will tell you that today doesn't matter, that missing one day won't change anything. And if you believe it, you reinforce the doubt. But if you show up anyway, even when the voice is loud, you send a powerful message to yourself. I decide, not doubt. Each day you do this, the voice grows weaker. Eventually it becomes background noise, easy to ignore, because your actions speak loud. Showing up daily is not about doing everything perfectly. It's not about hitting massive goals every time. It's about being present, engaged, and willing to take a step forward, no matter how small. Some days you'll move far, other days only a little. But the magic is in the consistency. Doubt can argue with your thoughts, but it cannot argue with your track record. If you've shown up for 30 straight days, that proof is undeniable. Think about trust. Trust with yourself works the same way as trust with others. If someone promises you something but only delivers occasionally, you doubt them. But if they show up for you every day, you stop doubting. You begin to believe. The same happens internally. When you show up daily, you build trust in yourself. That trust becomes unshakable confidence, and confidence silences doubt before it even speaks. Showing up consistently also reduces the weight of pressure. When you only show up occasionally, every attempt feels like a test. You feel like this one effort has to prove everything. But when you show up daily, the pressure spreads out. Today doesn't have to be perfect, because tomorrow you'll be back again. That mindset removes the fear of failure. You know that if you stumble today, you can stand again tomorrow, and that simple truth makes action easier. Another benefit of showing up daily is that it creates rhythm. Human beings thrive on rhythm. When you build a pattern of consistent action, it becomes part of your life. You no longer ask, should I do this today? It becomes automatic. You simply do it because it's what you do. That rhythm is powerful because it leaves less room for doubt to creep in. When action is automatic, doubt doesn't get a chance to argue. Think about athletes. The best athletes in the world don't wait to feel ready before training. They train daily, no matter what. Some days they're tired, some days they're sore, some days they're not motivated. But they still show up, and because they show up, their skills sharpen, their confidence grows, and their performance improves. If they only trained when they felt good, doubt would dominate, but their consistency silences it. The same principle applies to every area of life: career, relationships, health, personal growth. You might believe your doubt is unique, but it's not. Everyone has it. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay is not that one group is free from doubt. It's that one group keeps showing up anyway. They build a library of evidence, so large that the doubt no longer matters. They may still feel it, but it has no control. Doubt is like a shadow. It's always there when you look for it. But when you keep walking, you stop noticing it. The focus shifts to the path ahead. The same happens with daily consistency. You stop obsessing over doubt because you're too busy moving forward. Action takes your attention away from fear and places it on progress. And progress is always louder than hesitation. To make this practical, start by deciding what showing up means for you. It doesn't have to be grand. It might be writing for 20 minutes. It might be exercising for half an hour. It might be practicing a skill or having one meaningful conversation. The key is not the size of the action, but the regularity of it. Decide, commit, and do it every single day. That commitment itself is a victory. There will be days when you feel like you made no progress. Days when your work feels clumsy, your energy feels low, your effort feels small. On those days, remind yourself, the act of showing up is the win. You may not see the impact immediately, but consistency compounds. A brick placed today doesn't look like much, but over time it builds a wall. Show up, place the brick, and trust the process. Over time, something incredible happens. You stop asking yourself if you're capable. You stop questioning whether you'll follow through. You stop doubting whether you can handle challenges. Because your daily record speaks for itself. You've shown up too many times to believe otherwise. That certainty frees you. It frees you to pursue bigger goals, to take risks, to stretch beyond your comfort zone, because you know that no matter what, you will show up again tomorrow. Doubt thrives in inconsistency. If you only act occasionally, doubt has room to grow. But if you act daily, doubt has no space. Your consistency drowns it out. And when doubt is silent, you finally hear the voice of belief. That voice tells you that you are capable, that you are strong, that you can be trusted, and the more you listen to it, the stronger it grows. So silence doubt the only way it can be silenced. Not with wishes, not with arguments, but with consistent action. Every day, show up. Some days will be easy, some will be hard. Some days you'll shine, some days you'll stumble. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that you keep coming back. That persistence builds proof, and proof silences doubt more effectively than anything else. 1 year from now, your life will reflect the pattern you chose. If you let doubt decide, you'll still be hesitating, still questioning, still stuck. But if you choose to show up daily, your life will be transformed. You'll have a record of hundreds of days of action. You'll have proof that you are capable, and doubt will no longer hold the same weight in your life. The decision is in your hands. Will you let doubt write the story, or will you silence it with action? Every day you show up, you're casting a vote for the life you want. And if you keep voting daily, the outcome is inevitable. Consistency wins, doubt loses, and you build a future defined not by hesitation, but by progress, strength and confidence. So begin today. Show up, then show up tomorrow, then the next day. Do it until it becomes who you are, and when it does, you'll discover something extraordinary. Doubt may still whisper, but it no longer matters, because your actions have proven the truth. You are stronger than doubt, and you prove it every single day by showing up. Chapter 9. Shift focus daily from what hurts to what helps. Pain is a part of life. Everyone faces it in some form: disappointments, rejections, mistakes, struggles, losses. You can't go through this world without encountering situations that hurt. Some of that hurt is physical, some is emotional, some is the weight of regret or the sting of failure. The problem is not that pain exists. The problem is that many people set up camp inside it. They replay it, they feed it, they give it attention until it becomes the center of their life. What they don't realize is that the more they focus on what hurts, the stronger it grows, and the longer they give it energy, the less room they leave for what helps. The mind is always looking for something to focus on. If you don't direct it, it will default to the things that trouble you.
Chapter 9. Shift focus daily from what hurts to what helps. Pain is a part of life. Everyone faces it in some form: disappointments, rejections, mistakes, struggles, losses. You can't go through this world without encountering situations that hurt. Some of that hurt is physical, some is emotional, some is the weight of regret or the sting of failure. The problem is not that pain exists. The problem is that many people set up camp inside it. They replay it, they feed it, they give it attention until it becomes the center of their life. What they don't realize is that the more they focus on what hurts, the stronger it grows, and the longer they give it energy, the less room they leave for what helps. The mind is always looking for something to focus on. If you don't direct it, it will default to the things that trouble you. That's how you can find yourself lying awake at night, replaying every mistake you've made, every rejection you've felt, every word someone said that cut you down. The brain clings to pain because it wants to protect you from repeating it, but in doing so, it magnifies it. Soon all you see is what hurts, and you lose sight of what could actually help you grow. The way out is not to deny that pain exists. Denial never works. The way out is to shift focus, not once but daily. Every single day, you must decide whether to give your energy to what hurts or to what helps. You cannot always choose what happens to you, but you can always choose where your attention goes. That choice, repeated consistently, shapes your entire life. When you focus on what hurts, you dwell on the past, you replay the wrongs, you feel powerless because you're staring at something that cannot be changed. But when you shift your focus to what helps, you move forward. You ask, what can I do now? What step will make things better? What choice will strengthen me? That perspective gives you power, because it puts your attention on things you can influence. And when your energy is aimed at what you can change, progress begins. This is not about pretending everything is fine when it is. It's about refusing to hand control of your life over to the things that drag you down. Pain is real, but so is growth. Struggle is real, but so is strength. You get to decide which one gets the majority of your focus. If you want to build a life of resilience, you must make the shift deliberately and repeatedly. Imagine two people facing the same setback. One loses their job and spends months replaying the unfairness, the shock, the betrayal. They spiral deeper into anger and discouragement. The other feels the same pain, but asks, what will help me right now? They polish their resume, they learn new skills, they reach out to connections. One gets stuck in hurt, the other shifts to help. The difference in their future is not the event, it is the focus. This principle applies everywhere. If you argue with someone you care about, you can either fixate on the words that stung, or focus on what will heal the relationship. If you fail at a project, you can replay the embarrassment, or focus on what you learned that will help you succeed next time. If you struggle with your health, you can dwell on the frustration, or focus on the habits that will make you stronger. The situation is the same, but the outcome changes with your focus. Shifting focus doesn't mean the hurt vanishes. The pain may still be there in the background, but pain loses its power when it is not given the spotlight. Think of it this way. Your mind is like a stage. At any moment, only one actor gets the spotlight. If you shine it on hurt, hurt takes the lead role. If you shine it on help, help takes the stage. The other actor doesn't leave, but it no longer dominates the show. Every day, you decide where to shine the light. Training your brain to make this shift is not automatic. The default is to focus on pain, because it is loud.
Pain demands attention. Help is quieter. It requires you to pause, take a breath, and ask a better question. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What can I do now to make this better?" Instead of asking, "What did I lose?" ask, "What can I build next?" These questions redirect your focus to what helps, and the more often you practice them, the stronger the habit becomes. Reward yourself when you shift. Notice the difference in your mood and energy. When you focus on what hurts, you feel heavy, stuck, tired. When you shift to what helps, you feel lighter, more hopeful, more energized. Let your body remind you of the reward of choosing wisely. That emotional feedback is what makes the habit stick. There's a deeper truth here. People who spend their lives focused on hurt become bitter. They carry the weight of old wounds everywhere they go. They make decisions from pain instead of possibility. Their lives shrink. On the other hand, people who train themselves to focus on what helps become resilient. They carry scars, yes, but those scars remind them of strength, not weakness. Their lives expand because they keep directing their energy towards solutions, growth, and opportunities. Every day gives you chances to practice this. When someone criticizes you, you can either hold on to the sting or ask if there's anything useful in their words. When plans fall apart, you can either curse the disappointment or focus on what you can do next. When you feel tired or unmotivated, you can either complain about the discomfort or focus on the one action that will lift your energy. These daily shifts matter because they shape the direction of your life. It is also important to recognize that focusing on what helps does not mean ignoring your emotions. You still need to acknowledge pain, feel it, process it, learn from it. But don't stay there. Once you've acknowledged it, shift your attention to what will build you. Give yourself permission to grieve, but also give yourself permission to grow. Both can exist, but only one should guide your daily choices. Some people think shifting focus is naive, as if you're pretending problems don't exist. In reality, it's the most practical choice you can make. Problems are real, but so are solutions. You don't solve anything by staring at the wound, you solve it by taking steps that lead to healing. Focusing on what helps is not fantasy, it's strategy. The habit of shifting focus also builds gratitude. When you focus only on pain, you overlook the good that still exists. But when you focus on what helps, you start noticing resources, opportunities, and blessings you already have. Gratitude grows naturally when your attention is on things that move you forward. And gratitude itself becomes fuel, giving you the strength to keep going even when times are hard. Think about how powerful it would be if every morning you asked yourself, "What will help me today?" and then acted on it. Some days the answer might be exercise, some days it might be reaching out to someone, some days it might be learning something new. Each day, the answer changes, but the principle stays the same. Your focus is on what will build you, not what will break you. Over weeks and months, this practice transforms how you see life. Challenges no longer feel like dead ends. They feel like detours toward growth. Setbacks no longer define you, they become training grounds. Pain no longer controls you. It becomes background noise while you direct your energy towards solutions. This is the power of shifting focus daily. The difference in quality of life between someone who focuses on hurt and someone who focuses on help is enormous. One lives in the past, the other creates the future. One is drained by every difficulty, the other is energized by every possibility. One gets stuck in endless cycles of blame, the other finds freedom in action, so the decision is clear. Each day, when pain shows up, acknowledge it but don't camp in it. Shift your attention to what helps. Train your mind to ask better questions. Give your energy to actions that move you forward. Celebrate yourself for doing so. Then repeat it tomorrow. Over time you'll find that the habit becomes natural, and when it does, you'll live lighter, stronger, and more focused on the life you are building, instead of the pain you have experienced. Your future depends on where you place your focus. If you choose hurt, you will carry it everywhere. If you choose help, you will build strength everywhere. That choice is yours every single day. And when you make the right choice often enough, your life will no longer be defined by what has hurt you, but by what you did to heal, to grow, and to... Chapter 10. Redesign your identity daily by stacking unstoppable small wins. Identity is not fixed. It is not something you are born with and forced to carry unchanged for the rest of your life. Identity is shaped, day by day, by the choices you make and the actions you take. Too many people believe they are stuck with who they have been. They think they are lazy because they've quit before. They think they are weak because they failed once. They think they are undisciplined because they never kept promises in the past. But identity is not built from labels. It is built from evidence. And the most powerful evidence you can create is the small wins you stack daily. Each win is proof. Each win is a vote for the person you want to become. Each win redesigns your identity. When you wake up in the morning, you carry two stories inside you. The story of who you have been and the story of who you are becoming. If you allow old failures to dictate your choices, the old story continues. If you decide to stack a small win today, you begin to write a new story. The beauty of this is that the story shifts quickly. Identity is not rewritten overnight, but it doesn't take years either. The moment you collect enough proof in a new direction, your brain updates the story it tells you about yourself. Think about how powerful this is. If you want to see yourself as disciplined, you don't need to run a marathon today. You just need to keep one small promise. If you want to see yourself as consistent, you don't need to have a flawless year. You just need to show up again today. If you want to see yourself as resilient, you don't need to erase your past failures. You only need to prove that you can rise again now. Each small win is a step toward the identity you want, and every step matters more than you realize. The reason small wins are so powerful is because they are undeniable. You can argue with words, you can doubt affirmations, you can question motivation, but you cannot argue with proof. If you complete a workout today, it is evidence that you are someone who moves their body. If you save money today, it is evidence that you are someone who takes control of their finances. If you follow through on a promise today, it is evidence that you are someone who honors commitments. The more proof you collect, the stronger your identity becomes. Most people underestimate the compound effect of these wins. They dismiss them because they look small. They think only dramatic breakthroughs count. But the truth is that breakthroughs are the result of stacked wins. Confidence is built one promise at a time. Strength is built one repetition at a time. Mastery is built one practice session at a time. Small wins, repeated consistently, create unstoppable momentum, and that momentum reshapes who you are. You have likely experienced the opposite. When you avoid action, when you break promises, when you give in to old habits, you collect evidence for an identity you don't want. You tell yourself, I'm lazy, I'm inconsistent, I can't be trusted. That is not because it's true. It's because you've stacked the wrong kind of evidence. The way out is not to argue with those thoughts. The way out is to stack new proof until the old identity crumbles. Identity is built in the present, not in the past. You may have years of evidence for who you used to be, but what matters most is what you do today. If you win today, even in a small way, you add a fresh piece of evidence. Tomorrow you add another. The more days you stack, the more undeniable the new story becomes. Eventually, the balance tips. You are no longer defined by who you were. You are defined by who you consistently prove yourself to be. This is why it's crucial to design your days around wins you can actually achieve. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for perfect timing. Decide in the morning what win you will stack today. Make it specific and achievable. Then follow through. That act alone redesigns identity, and the more often you repeat it, the faster your identity shifts. It's also important to recognize that identity is not something you declare once. It is something you maintain. Just as you can build a new identity with daily wins, you can lose it by neglecting them. Identity is alive. It breathes through your actions. That's why the discipline of daily wins is so powerful. It ensures your identity keeps evolving in the direction you choose. The transformation is not only internal. When you stack wins consistently, other people notice. They stop seeing you as someone who talks and start seeing you as someone who acts. They respect you more, they trust you more, they see your consistency and reflect it back to you. And that external validation strengthens your internal belief even further. Identity is both private and public. It's who you believe you are and who others recognize you to be. Stacking wins daily aligns both. Some people say, "But I've failed so many times before." That doesn't matter. Failure is part of the old story. You can begin the new story today. The brain is remarkable. It updates quickly when you give it enough fresh evidence. Even if you've quit 100 times, showing up consistently now builds a new track record. And once the new track record grows, the old one fades in power. You don't erase the past, but you stop being defined by it. Stacking wins also protects you from the trap of perfection. When you value progress over flawless performance, you focus on what can be done today. Perfection paralyzes. Small wins liberate. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do something. And doing something daily compounds into transformation far beyond what chasing perfection could ever create. There's another benefit. Momentum. Each win makes the next one easier. When you finish a task, you feel pride. That pride fuels energy. That energy fuels the next action. Soon, the wins begin stacking almost naturally. Momentum is built not by giant leaps, but by consistent steps. And once it builds, it carries you forward in ways you couldn't imagine when you started. The most important thing is to recognize that every win, no matter how small, counts toward your identity. Drinking a glass of water instead of soda counts. Reading for 10 minutes instead of scrolling counts. Finishing a workout counts. Saying no to a distraction counts. Each one adds to the stack. And when you look back weeks or months later, the stack is undeniable. You are no longer the person who doubted, you are the person who followed through. Over time, this daily stacking leads to an identity that feels unshakable. You don't just believe you are capable. You know it. You don't just hope you are disciplined. You have proof. You don't just imagine you can succeed. You live it. And that shift is life-changing, because once your identity is strong, your actions flow naturally from it. You no longer have to push yourself constantly. You act in alignment with who you believe you are. This is why the phrase "redesign your identity daily" matters. Identity is not built once. It is redesigned every day, with the choices you make. If you don't take control of it, the world will. If you don't choose who you want to be, old habits and old voices will choose for you. But if you decide each day to stack small wins, you take control of the design. You build the identity you want instead of inheriting the one you don't. At the end of each day, ask yourself one question. What win did I stack today? Answer it honestly. If you can list one, you are moving forward. If you can list several, you are building momentum. If you cannot list any, tomorrow is your chance to get back on track. That simple reflection keeps you aligned. It keeps you aware. It keeps you in the driver's seat of your own identity. Over a lifetime, the impact is extraordinary. Small wins compound into big results. But beyond the results, they compound into a self-image that cannot be shaken. You begin to see yourself as someone who creates, someone who grows, someone who follows through. That identity is priceless, because once you believe it, nothing can stop you from living it. So begin now. Decide what win you will stack today. Complete it. Recognize it. Record it. Let it be the building block of your new identity. Then do it again tomorrow. Then again the day after. Don't wait for perfection. Don't wait for massive leaps. Just stack the win. And soon, you will look back and realize you've become a completely different person. Not because you dreamed of it. Not because you wished for it. But because you redesigned your identity daily. One small